everyone and welcome to another episode of The Jamie Hughes Show. My name as always is Jamie Hughes and today I'm going to be giving you my review of the Cloverfield paradox. Now if you want to keep up to date with all the latest movie news and reviews then make sure you hit that subscribe button, and as always my videos this review may include spoilers so you have now been warned. So before I jump into this review I just want to commend everybody at Bad Robot, Netflix, JJ Abrams, everybody involved in this film. I want to commend them on the size of their cojones to release this film with a 4-hour marketing campaign, a 4-hour build, a 30-second trailer, and then this film is live to the world. It's very commendable. It's going to go down in film history without a doubt. And yeah, what a very genius and brave idea this was. So for the film itself, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a very fun expansion of the Cloverfield universe. I think it had a fun standalone story. I do think it did have some teething issues and we will get onto these in a little bit, but yeah, I think it had some issues blending and lending itself to the Cloverfield universe. I think it did pose more questions than answers, but for the most part this is a really fun, enjoyable standalone movie. I really liked the concept of this film. It was original enough that it kept me engaged, but what I really liked about this film is that it did take influence and make references to loads of great classic sci-fi movies. Obviously you have basically the homage, the love letter to Alien with Volkov and the worms. By the way, Volkov, I know how you're feeling with that boss eye, man. I feel your pain. You had references to re-space movies as well, like Life, Armageddon, loads and loads of like subtle references, and you could see where the influences had come for this movie, and I do think it worked. I think it was a very enjoyable story. It kept me engaged all the way throughout, and just to bring in that Cloverfield tie-in once they fire the shepherd and they find out, well, they don't already know that they're in an alternate dimension yet, but where they don't know what's really going on. I think the sound design that was used throughout this movie that built the tension in every scene was so well executed, because you started to get these little flutters and these little bangs in the background that were literally building to where you thought you were going to see the Cloverfield monster or a Cloverfield alien, and it never came, but that worked so well because other stuff happened, like other things started happening other than the monster came to attack them on the space station. There was other things going on, and that really built towards the tension for me, and it felt like every scene, okay, are we going to get the monster now? Are we going to get the monster now? No, but something else is happening. Something really cool is happening here instead. This next point is both a positive and a negative, because I really enjoyed the inventive and the fresh styles of death in this movie, but then I also felt like having every character just kind of get killed off in a sequence did kind of feel a little bit too blockbustery, and it did feel like it was starting to become like a blockbuster horror, if that makes sense. And I didn't like that, because that's not what Cloverfield at its core is about. It just felt a little bit too blockbuster-ish, that the creepy girl from the other dimension just suddenly decides that she wants to kill everybody, and then that was just a way of killing off some additional characters without any real storyline context, whereas like the Chinese lady and Chris O'Dowd's death felt very much like they were in the storyline, because we didn't fully know what was going on yet, and they worked, but then after that you kind of just got like the random kills for the sake of it, I thought. And like I said earlier on, I did really enjoy Cloverfield, but it does pose a lot of questions and left a lot of questions unanswered. Like, what dimension is the first and second Cloverfield? What dimension do they take place in? Because obviously there's the reference to the space station that crashes into the Earth at the end of the first Cloverfield movie, but that doesn't tie in with the universe that the space station is in now, because the monsters have already attacked while the space station is in the air. So that was kind of a little bit confusing, but again, it's not the main issue with this film. I think what this film would have benefited from would be having just this story in the space station, or having this story set on the ground with Hamilton's husband, because having the two stories in there at once was very jarring, because it did kind of throw up loads of questions about like what time zone or what universe we were in, because as we know from the first Cloverfield movie, New York is the first place to get hit, but then there is no answer to the question of where is this current movie taking place down on the ground, because it's never referenced that it's New York. So we don't know if this is a separate monster, if it's a separate dimension, if it's a separate time. Those questions were just too niggling to let go for me. And again, having him just find this random kid and then having no resolution to that. Now, obviously, I can't judge this too hard, because if we are getting another Cloverfield movie and it's going to be focused on those characters, then that is fine. You have built up a story there that is fine and you can address later on. But if they don't, then it just poses a lot of more questions and just feels like it shouldn't have really been there, and we could have just focused on having this movie set up in that space station. So that is my biggest issue with this film, which can be rectified very easily, but they just posed a lot more questions and tried to... It almost felt like they tried to over-confuse the audience with this movie, whereas if you'd just started answering some questions and cleared up a few things, I think it would have added to people's overall enjoyment. But you can still say this, because, again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because you could have another Cloverfield movie that answers all these questions. And I think that is the point I think a lot of people are at now. Myself kind of included. I really love the Cloverfield franchise and I love the ambiguity surrounding it. But I do think now we are 3 films in and we don't really know properly what's going on. So I think that they definitely need to start answering some questions in the next maybe 2 Cloverfield movies. We need to start getting a little bit of resolution, whether that's for the best or the worst case scenario. But I think you just can't keep having these ambiguous and very vague endings just to try and tie in each movie to the Cloverfield universe, because people are going to suss you out and people are going to start getting turned off by these films. But with that being said, I still really enjoyed this movie as a standalone movie and as a fun addition to the Cloverfield franchise. If you're a fan of Cloverfield, you will love this movie, and even if you're not, I definitely suggest checking it out, because it is a fun standalone space movie in its own right. So yeah, that's my review of Cloverfield. Very much enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought about it, as always, down in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this video and you want to keep up to date with all the latest movie news and reviews, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. I got the words out in the end. Thank you very much for watching this episode of The Jamie Hughes Show. I will see you in the next one. Ta-ra.